This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi Glatstein. We're learning Parshas Tazria Mitzorah, and Parshas Tazria Mitzorah speaks about the Einesh of Tzaras, and the Torah, interestingly, does not tell us what causes Tzaras, and yet we are all familiar that with the Gemara in Erechim Adaf Tezvav Amud Beis, Amar Rabbi Yossi ben Zimra, Kol ha-mesaper lashon hara negaim ba'im alav. Anyone who speaks lashon hara, he is punished with negaim. He's punished with nega, with leprosy, with saras. Shenemar melashni baseiser reyehu. Someone who badmouths his friend in secret. Oisai atzmis. Him I will cut him off. Ksiv hasam. So from here we learn that someone who speaks lashon hara is punished with tzaras. In fact, Amar Reish Lakish, Ma'idich Siv Zois Tia Tairas HaMitzorah, and says Reish Lakish, the word Mitzorah is a compound word. Zois Tia Tairas Moitzi Shemra. This will be the Torah of someone who is Moitzi Shemra. So the word Mitzorah stands for Moitzi Shemra. So from here we learn the punishment of tzaras is brought on by speaking lashon hara. And in fact, David HaMelech poses a very powerful question. David HaMelech says, Mi ha'ish hechafetz chaim, who desires life? Now life over here does not mean to life in this world, it refers to life in Olam Haba. It refers to the next world. So the David HaMelech is asking, raise your hand, who would like Olam Haba? Or maybe, right, Olam Haba lasts a very long time. Forever is a very long time. This world doesn't last so long. This world is transient. This world is temporary. But David HaMelech says, who wants eternal life? Oyev yamim l'reis tov. Who wants a good life in this world? And what's the key? The key is, nitzar l'shoincha meira. Guard your tongue from speaking evil. And we know, interestingly, the Chafetz Chaim wrote many works on the faculty of speech. Chafetz Chaim wrote a Sefer Chafetz Chaim. Chafetz Chaim wrote something called Shmiras HaLashon. Chafetz Chaim wrote a Sefer Chayves HaShmira. And the Chafetz Chaim wrote a Sefer called Zachar LaMiriam. Zachar LaMiriam, remember what Hashem did to Miriam. And quite amazingly, from a certain passage in the Sefer Zachar LaMiriam, we're going to get an insight into the interest of the Chafetz Chaim. Apparently, the Chafetz Chaim was very interested in the faculty of speech, in the phenomenon of speech. The Chafetz Chaim writes, look at number 3. Hinei b'chesed Hashem Yisbarach, higati l'gvuros. Through the good graces of the Almighty, I reached gevuros. What are gevuros? 80 years old. Right? So first you see from here that if a person has the merit to reach 80 years old, he has to show tremendous hakar satayv to Hashem. It's a special chesed.
You gotta be lucky.
You have to be, it's a chesed of Hashem. It's a special kindness. It says the Chafetz Chaim, through the good graces of the Almighty, I reached 80. V'chemat kol yomai lo hisachti dati milhespoinen oidois chelek hadibor b'chlalai. Kemat my entire life, I never stopped thinking about the faculty of speech. Chafetz Chaim was amazed, was very interested, was very intrigued by the faculty of speech. And he writes, and you could imagine if the Chafetz Chaim is saying this, this is emes la'amitai. He never diverted his attention, even for a moment, from the time he was oimed al daita, from the time that his seichel began until he was 80 years old. He did not stop thinking about the faculty of speech. And that is what we would like to discuss this morning. We want to discuss the great phenomenon of speech. Okay, and we're going to analyze it from 2 vantage points. We're going to give 2 shiurim on it, Be'ezus Hashem. That's the plan as of now, as of the beginning of this year. And we're going to analyze it and focus on it from 2 distinct vantage points. Okay, we begin with number 4 from the Gemara in Erechim on Daf Tezvav Amud Aleph. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Yossi ben Zimra. Ma yidechsev, ma yitein lecha, u'ma yosef lach lashon remiyah. We're now going to record a conversation that the Ribono Shel Olam has with the tongue. Okay? So you want to know Mi Amar El Mi, who's talking to who? Borei Olam is talking to the tongue. Amar Loi HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Lashon. God says to the tongue, Kol Eivarav Shel Adam Zekufim. All the limbs are upright. V'ata mutal. And you are horizontal. All the limbs are vertical. Every limb in the body. The nose, the ears, the heart, the lungs, they're all standing erect. There's only one limb that's horizontal, and that's the tongue.
Legs.
What? Why? Kol Eivarav Shel Adam mibachutz. All the Eivarim are on the outside. All the orifices are on the outside. All the limbs are on the outside. The arms, the legs, the eyes, the nose, the ears, they're all on the outside. V'yata mibifnim. The tongue's on the inside. V'lo yoid, and not only that, ela shehi kafti lecha shtei chaymos. God says, I made two fences for the tongue. Achas shel etzem, one is bone. What's that referring to?
Teeth.
The teeth, if you still have. V'achas shel basar. And one is flesh. What's that?
Lips.
The lips. So let's analyze this. The Gemara mentions three distinct features of the tongue. Number one, it's horizontal. Number two, it's in a chamber of bone, teeth. Number three, it's in a wall of lips. Says the Maral, what is the distinguishing feature of the fact that the tongue is horizontal? The answer is very simple. All other limbs are vertical. What does that mean they're vertical? That means they're ready to act. The ears, the nose, the heart, the lungs. You know why? You know what vertical means? Vertical means ready to do something, ready to act. On call. On call. After all, your heart has to beat 24 hours a day. Your lungs have to breathe 24 hours a day. There's only one limb that's horizontal. You know what horizontal means? What do you do when you go horizontal? Either you're sleeping or you're dead. Those are the two choices. Those are the two options. And the Gemara says really the same thing. It's, sleep is 1/60th. Horizontal means you're out of commission. Either permanently or temporarily. Says the Maral, you know why God made your tongue horizontal? Because it's supposed to be at rest. It's supposed to be out of commission. You're not supposed to use it. It's there just in case, and you need it. Your ears, you need to hear. You have to know what's going on in this world. Your nose, you have to smell. Your heart has to beat. Your lungs have to inhale, exhale. Your tongue is there only just in case. It's like an automatic weapon that you're carrying. Right? Imagine a guy, I have a weapon, so I have to use it. Right? No. A weapon is there just in case. And we know it's in the holster. And it's not like you just press the button and bang. You have to, get it to go. The tongue is only there just in case something happens that you happen to need to talk. Otherwise, it should be put out of commission. It's not, I have a tongue, so I have to make use of it. No. It's there just in case. Well, what do you mean? I'm supposed to breathe? Yeah, that's because your lungs are vertical. My heart's supposed to work, it's vertical. God made your tongue horizontal. Why? It's only there just in case. Otherwise, go to sleep. Schlaf gesund. Sleep well. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Okay? That's the purpose of the tongue, just in case. Now that the Maral explains the positioning of the tongue is horizontal. It's menucha. It's at rest. But just in case you forget that, Ribono Shel Olam said, I'm going to give you two reminders. And that is, there are two fences. One is bone, and one is lips. So you have two fences for your mouth. Now, very interesting. There's a pasuk in Koheles. Look at number 6. Chofer gumatz, ba yipa. One who digs a hole, he'll fall into it. Ufaretz gader, and if you break the fence, yishchenu nachash, you'll be bit by the snake. What is this talking about? Says the Kliyakar. Remember, there was a man by the name of Yosef HaTzadik, and the brothers threw him into a pit. V'habar reik, ein boy, mayim ein boy avol, nechashim akrabim yesh boy. Why did the brothers throw him into a pit that had snakes in it? What do you say? The answer is very simple. What is the punishment of someone who speaks Lashon Hara? Well, look at number 8. If you go to Parshas Chukas, when Klal Yisrael spoke Lashon Hara about the man, Vayishalach Hashem ba'am eis hanachashim asrafim, God sent the fiery serpents, Vayanashchu es ha'am, and they bit the people. Zokt Rashi. Why were Klal Yisrael punished with snakes when they spoke Lashon Hara? Says Rashi, Yavai hanachash, let the snake come. The snake was smitten because he spoke Lashon Hara, and he's going to punish Klal Yisrael who spoke Lashon Hara about the man. So we see from this Chazal that the punishment for Lashon Hara is you get bitten by the snake. Why do you get bitten by the snake? Very simple. Because the snake was the first to speak Lashon Hara, and the snake was punished for speaking Lashon Hara, and therefore anyone who speaks Lashon Hara is bitten by the snake. And therefore Klal Yisrael, when they spoke Lashon Hara about the man, their punishment is what? They got bitten by the snake. That's why the brother said, Yosef spoke Lashon Hara about us, let's throw him into a pit that has in it snakes and scorpions. After all, that is the rightful punishment. Says the Kliyakar, Upayreitz gader yishchenu nachash. When you break the fence, you're going to get bitten by the snake. What does that mean? Simple meaning is, in the olden days, snakes were very common. Snakes were very prevalent. So in order to keep the snakes out of your property, what do? You build a fence around your property, but they didn't just build a fence like they build today, where the fence is above the ground. Their fences actually extended below the surface area of the ground. This way, if the snake would want to come in, it would not be able to get in. But if there's a hole in the fence, what happens? The snakes come in. Says the Kliyakar, very beautiful. Every person has two fences. One is a fence of bone, one is a fence of meat. The fence of bone is your teeth. The fence of meat are your lips. When you open up the fence, and you open up your teeth, and you open up your gums, and you break the fence, and you speak Lashon Hara, what's the punishment? The snakes are going to bite you. Why? Because the punishment for speaking Lashon Hara is Yishchenu Nachash. That's the meaning, says the Kliyakar. It's the deeper meaning of the pasuk. Upayreitz gadar yishchenu nachash. So what we're learning is that every person has 3 reminders not to talk. People think God made me with a mouth. I have to make good use of it. No, just the opposite. A mouth is only just in case. It's a weapon. A mouth is like a semi-automatic rifle. You're only carrying it just in case you happen to need it. So you say, why would I need it? You're right. I'll let you know why. We'll let you know when you need it. In case, first of all, if you have to learn, you have to talk. Or if, let's say, somebody's depressed and somebody needs chizuk, you have to give them chizuk. So what do you have to do? You have to take out, what do? You have to pry open the lips. Not so easy. Some people find it very easy, but it's not supposed to be. You have to pry open the fence of lips. But still, how could I talk? I have a fence of teeth. You gotta, wedge open the teeth. But now my tongue is horizontal. You got to wake it up. You say, hey, tongue, wake up. Wake up. You got to set an alarm clock. You have to wake it up. And then now that you opened up the 2 fences, and now that you woke up your tongue, under certain limited circumstances, now you're able to use your weapon. And afterwards, you quickly shut it. You close the teeth. You close the lips. You put the tongue back to sleep. And it enjoys another good few days of sleep until the next time that you might have to use it. But don't open it unnecessarily, because if you break open the fence, yishchenu nachash. Rashi in this week's Parsha, take a look. It's a pasuk in Tazria. Perik Yud Gimel pasuk Memvav number 10. Kol yimei asher hanega boy yitma tamehu badad yeshev michutz lamachane moishavoi. Says Rashi michutz lamachane, out of how many machanos? Chutz legimel machanos. Out of 3 camps. Says the Sefer Likutei Mamarim. Now we understand the kavanah of Chazal, why it's necessary for the Mitzvah to go out of all 3 camps. He has to go out of Machana Shechina, he has to go out of Machana Leviyah, and he has to go out of Machana Yisod. It's the only Tumah where you have to mamish, you're Michutz LaMachana, you have to leave your house, you can't talk to your family, you can't talk to your friends, people text you, people call you, you're out of commission. You have to go out of how many Machanos?
3.
All 3 Machanos. Says the Sefer Likutei Mamarim, you know why you have to leave all 3 Machanos? Because this guy acted very unwisely. What did he do? He woke up his tongue, and the tongue is sitting there in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, in the inner sanctum. It's at rest. It's closed up in the teeth. It's closed up in the lips. It's horizontal. It's at rest. And the guy woke it up, and he allowed the tongue to leave Kodesh HaKadoshim. 1 Machana. Then he allowed it to leave the teeth. A 2nd Machana. And he allowed it to leave the lips. A 3rd Machana. So he allowed the tongue to go Chutz mi Gimel Machanois. What a fool. What a shaita. Let the tongue rest. It's much better off inside, not doing anything. Very dangerous to use your gun. Tongue is like a gun. Right? It says that somebody a tongue is like a sword. A sword is just there in case you're in danger, in case you really need it. And this guy woke up his tongue, and he allowed it to leave the 1st Machana, and he allowed it to leave the 2nd Machana, and he allowed it to leave the 3rd Machana. So we tell him, you're out of here, pal. You have to leave the Machana Shechina, you have to leave the Machana Leviyah, and you have to leave the Machana Yisrael. Mida keneged mida. He let the tongue go out of the 3 Machanos. We have him leave all 3 Machanos. Okay. Now we come to Shir HaShiurim. And in Shir HaShiurim, the Rebbeinu Shalom is complimenting Klal Yisrael, and he's giving Klal Yisrael a beautiful shevach, and he says, Shihi nayich keider haketzuva she'alu min harachza she'kula masimois v'sha'kula ein bohem. Perek Daled, Pasuk Beis. A very romantic expression. Your teeth are like a flock which is set. This flock of sheep has come up from bathing. They're all masimos. They're all aligned. V'shakula ein bahem. There's no miscarriage among them. So Rebbeinu Shalom is saying, Klal Yisrael, you are beautiful to me. Your teeth are beautiful. Right? So Rebbeinu Shalom is coming to Klal Yisrael. You know what's so beautiful about you? You have nice teeth. Who's your dentist? Right? Rebbeinu Shalom is who's your orthodontist? Rebbeinu Shalom is complimenting the teeth of Klal Yisrael. They're like perfectly aligned sheep. So you say, okay, maybe in the olden days this was a big compliment. You have nice teeth. But Nachdem Tzi, the Rebbeinu Shalom says the same thing a 2nd time. Shinayich keider harachelim she'alu min harachza she'kula masimois v'sha'kula ein bohem. Nachamal, Shir HaShiurim, it says, your teeth are like a flock of rams. Again, you're complimenting. Again, Klal Yisrael has to hear how beautiful their teeth are. Why is Rebbeinu Shalom constantly repeating this compliment? It's 1 time enough already. 1 time Rebbeinu Shalom likes our teeth, fine. But 2 times, what is it? 1 for the top teeth, 1 for the bottom teeth. What are these psukim? Shinayich keider haketzuvos. Shinayich keider. It's the exact same pasuk. Look at it. The only difference is one is keider haketzuvos, one is keider harachelim. Comes along the Shelah HaKadosh, and he says he found in the secrets of the Rokeach that the Rokeach, who we know is the master of the Soidos HaTorah, is bothered. We have 2 psukim which are basically identical, where Klal Yisrael is being praised about the beauty of their teeth. Says the Sefer HaRokeach, an unbelievable thing. We have a Masorah, we have a tradition that even though Goyim may not have this number of teeth, Klal Yisrael has how many teeth? 32 teeth. 16 and 16. 16 on the top, 16 on the bottom. And what's the purpose of the teeth? Well, the mouth only has two purposes. And what is that? Tefillah and Torah. Tefillah and Torah. Karbanos, avodah, Tefillah, and Torah. Okay. And for both of these we need to eat. You need to eat karbanos, and you need to eat l'shem shamayim to be able to learn. Let's talk about karbanos. How many karbanos are brought a week in the Beis HaMikdash? Minimal. Es hakeves echad ta'aseh v'aboiker v'yes hakeves hasheni ta'aseh. Very good. We only learned it like 2 hours ago, right? So two a day. 2 times 7 is 14. And Shabbos what? Uviyoim haShabbos Shnei Chavasim b'nei shana. We also learned that today. So how many karbanos a week? 16 karbanos a week. That's your bottom teeth. Your bottom teeth are shinayich ke'eder harachelem. They're like a row of rams. How many rams are brought a week? 16. If you forget it, just count your teeth. Or ask the dentist for the record of, right? 16 teeth, keneged the 16 rechelem. How many top teeth? 16.
16.
For Torah, what's the Iker Torah? Torah Barabim. How many times a week do we do Torah Barabim? Monday, how many aliyos? 3. Thursday, how many aliyos? 3. How many aliyos Shabbos morning? 7. 13. Mincha Shabbos? 16 top teeth for Torah. Says the Shelah HaKadosh, you have 16 bottom teeth for the 16 karbanos. That teaches you know what your bottom teeth are for? Avoida. 16 top teeth for Torah. How much Torah? 16 aliyos a week. What does that teach you? These are the only things you should use your mouth for. Everything else, avoid. Everything else is just in case you're going to the store and you need to pay the cash, so you have to ask them, whatever, so you quickly do what you gotta do. But otherwise, what is your mouth for? You have 16 bottom teeth, shinayich ke'eder harachelem, corresponding to avoida. The 16 karbanos. 7 kavasim in the morning, 7 kavasim in the afternoon, plus the 2 karbanos of Shabbos. You have 16 top teeth for Torah. 3 aliyos Monday, 3 aliyos Thursday, 7 aliyos Shabbos in the morning, 3 aliyos. So you got to be careful when you make haisafas. You know, you have to know what you're dealing with.
Wisdom teeth.
You know. Wisdom teeth. Right. So it's not so pasha tercha de tzibura, but you may need an oral surgeon to make a haisafa. Okay. So this is the first limud. The first limud that we want to point out. Number 1. Secondly, number 1, you have to realize the tongue is horizontal for a reason. If you want to use it, you got to wake it up. And even so, it's guarded. There are 2 guards. You got to, you have to open the gate. You can't open the gate every time you want to. And then besides that, there's a reason you have 32 teeth. It's to teach you what the teeth were created for. Let's take it a little further. And that is, you have 32 teeth. Very nice. Good to know, right? When God created the world, how many different pathways and byways did the Rebbeinu Shalom use to create this world? So, you have to look in the book of creation, Sefer HaYetzirah. I didn't have one, but I had to buy one. They have a good Svarim store in Coney Island Avenue, a Sfardi Svarim store. That's where they have all these types of Svarim. These Svarim are expensive, these kinds of Svarim. But I bought myself a Sefer HaYetzirah. I wanted to show you. Look at number 23. Sefer HaYetzirah, you have on it commentaries of Rishonim, the Ravid, not the Ravid on the Rambam, different Ravid. The Sefer HaYetzirah says like this. B'shloishim ushtayim nesivos pliyos chachma. With 32 wondrous pathways and byways of wisdom, chakak ka Hashem tzivakos Elokei Yisrael Elokim Chayim umelech olam ke'al shakai racham v'chanon ram v'nisa shoichen ad marim v'kadosh shemai ubara es olamai b'shloisha svarim b'sefer v'sipor. Bottom line, 32 ways of wisdom. God created the world with 32 pathways of wisdom. How do we know that? Other than the fact that the Sefer Yetzirah says so. Well, if you look in the Sefer Shari Oira, one of the classic Sifrei Kabbalah, he points out that, you know how we know that Rebbe Shem created the world with 32 pathways of Chachma? Because if you look from Bereshis until Eila Toda Shemaim Va'aretz, from the beginning of creation until the end of creation, it says the word Elohim 32 times. Okay? He says, V'timtza, the Shari Oira says, I think of Yosef Giktilia, he says, V'timtza b'maisa Bereshis lamid beis pa'amim kasav shem Elohim keneged lamid beis pliyos chachma. Rabbi said these are not major secrets. Bnei Yissaschar quotes this when he talks about Lag BaOmer. He says that the 49 days of the Omer are the 32 Nesivos Chachma, followed by 17 Taiv. After wisdom, then you're ready for the secrets, the Taiv. Starting on Lag BaOmer. Okay? Corresponding to Bereshis Bar Elohim, Esa Shemayim Yesaretz, V'aretz Oisa Sova, right? V'aretz Oisa Sova, V'aretz Baruch Elohim, Rachazam V'yim Elohim. 32 times it says Elohim. Says the Shari Oira, V'yata b'ni pekach einecha re'eh, Heich kol nesiv unesiv milamid beis nesivos hachachma chasam b'choisam Elohim. Each one of these 32 ways of wisdom is sealed and completed with the name Elohim. So you'll ask, what's the significance of the number 32? Why 32 ways of wisdom? What's the meaning of that? Right? I know, you're very bothered by that. You're very agitated by that. It's bothering you, right? You're not going to be able to continue the rest of this. I'm going to tell you, don't worry. What's the significance of the 32? You know who explains?
Mine is relieved.
Right? One second. The Sefer HaYetzirah in the next Mishnah explains. What are they? The 32 Nesivos HaChachma are Eser Sfiros, the 10 Sfiros, the Eser Mishtayim Oisios, and the 22 letters of the Aleph Beis. Or an easier way to explain it is, God created the world. How did Hashem create the world? With what were the building blocks of creation? So the Gemara says, B'tzalel ha'yodea l'tzaref oisiyos shabahem nivru shamayim aretz. B'tzalel knew how to combine the letters with which God created heaven and earth, which means God created heaven and earth with the letters of the Aleph Beis. And with how many statements? Asara ma'amoroi shenivra ha'olam. By the way, the Machon Maggid says the 10 Sfiros correspond to the 10 Ma'amorei Shenivra Ha'olam. That's the same thing. In fact, Rav David Cohen, Rosh Yeshiva of Hebron, so 2 years ago he gave Shiurim on how the 10 Makos correspond to the Asar Ma'amorei Shenivra Ha'olam. And now he's up to the next level. Now he's giving Shiur on how the 10 Makos correspond to the 10 Sfiros. It's not a different Shiur, it's just the next level. The 10 Ma'amoris are the 10 Sfiros. Fine. So now you understand why there are 32 pathways. What? No, the Gemara just says Asar Mamoros. The Machon Maggid says it corresponds to the 10 Sfiros. I'll show you after. Okay? So again, God created the world with 10 statements, the 22 letters of the Aleph Beis. These are the 32 highways and byways of Chachma. Shebahem Nivru Shamayim Aretz. Okay? Now you ready for this?
Yeah.
And all of this information is quoted in the Sefer Likutei Mamorim. And he quotes the Pardes Rimonim, the Ramak, Rav Moshe Cordovero. And Rav Moshe Cordovero says that the following piece of information I know two ways. Number one, I know through tradition. And number two, I know through dissection. And that is, if you look at the human brain, okay? Someone who has a brain in their skull, if you were to dissect it, you would see that just like God created the world in how many ways of Chachma? 32 ways of Chachma. And we know man was created what? B'tselem Elohim, in the image of God. So that means in man there also has to be 32 pathways of Chachma. And if you dissect the human brain, you will see 32 Shavilim that come down from the Mayach. 32 pathways that come down from the brain to the body. What do they correspond to? The 32 Nesivos of Chachma. Says the Pardes Remindum. You don't have to take my word for it. You just have to dissect the human brain. So you have a choice. Either you could accept what it says in the Ramak, or when you go home, you could try it yourself. Says the Ramak that these 32 pathways of Chachma filter down to another part of the body which counts to the number 32. And what's that? 32 teeth. So you have 32 pathways of Chachma in your brain, which somehow are connected. It doesn't mean each tooth has a nerve coming down from the brain. It just means they are affiliated and symbolically related to the 32 Nesivos HaChachma. Says the Shelah HaKadosh, what are you going to do with all this? So you have 32 pathways of Chachma in your brain, corresponding to, by the way, again, the 32 Nesivos HaChachma. Why did God create the world with 32 Nesivos HaChachma? The 10 Ma'amaros and the 22 letters of the Aliphes. Very interesting. I want to tell you, the Noam Elimelech, the Rebbe Ramelech brings down from his Rebbe, Reb Baruch Mimeshbish, that, you ever hear, remember in Shas, when you want to say something about the Rebbeinu Shalom, but you don't want to say exactly that this applies to Hashem, you want to say, as if to say, what word do you use? Kiviyachal. What does that mean, Kiviyachal? Kiviyachal. As if he could. What does that mean? Says the Noam Elimelech, when God created the world, we know God is called Machon, the place. That means everything is in His place. But how did Hashem create the world? But if before He created it, He was there, so now that He created it, the Rebbeinu Shalom sort of had to get out of the way. So yeah, we have an idea that the Rebbeinu Shalom, so to speak, confined Himself, was Mitzamtzei Matzmai, to allow the world to exist. What did He confine Himself in? The 22 letters of the Aliphes. That's what it means, Kivi Yachal. Chaf Beis Yachal. Through the 22 letters of the Aleph Beis, he was able to create the world. That's what the Noam Elimelech brings down. And these are the 32 Nesivos HaChachma, 22 letters of the Aleph Beis, 10 Ma'amarish in Olam. Ma'av Rabbi comes the Shelah HaKadosh. And the Shelah HaKadosh says that it's not for nothing that in the human brain there are 32 pathways, like the Pardes Remindum teaches us, and we have 32 teeth. You know why Hashem made it that way? It's a message that the teeth and the mouth only has one purpose, Chachma. When you see that in your mind, there are 32 channels of Chachma filtering down to your 32 teeth, that means God created the mouth for a purpose. The purpose is Chachmas Hashem. Everything else is just there, just in case you're stuck and you're in a bind and you got to say something to... You got to buy a vegetable, you got to buy a fruit, you have to say something. You see somebody's a little tzabrachin, you ram or you try whatever you say. Please open up the teeth. Please open up the lips. Yeah, wake up, tongue, wake up. Tongue's fast asleep. What do you mean I should wake up? God made me just thinking, yeah, but this is very, very important. I have to say this. It can't wait. I thought about it very, 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 very carefully, and I really need to say this. So the tongue reluctantly says, okay, fine. You really think this is very important, even though it's not learning, it's not tefillah? All right. But I'm only giving you a few brief moments. You say it, and then I have to go back to sleep. So you wedge open the teeth, you wedge open the lips, you wake up the tongue, you say what you have to say, and you put the tongue back for safekeeping. So Rabbi said what we're learning is that the mouth is not the way we think it is. It's not just there and, take advantage of it. After all, it works very well. You could talk. Chafetz Chaim made a calculation, you could say 200 words in 1 minute. So you got to take advantage. That's, how many words I could say in an hour? No, just the opposite. Says the Gemara, it's horizontal, it's in the lips, it's in the teeth. You have 16 teeth on the top, 16 aliyos for Torah, 16 teeth on the bottom, 16 karbanos, avoida. 32 teeth corresponding to the 32 pathways of Chachma. That's what your mouth is for. Everything else, just in case you might need it if you're in a bind. But otherwise, don't forget, Mi ha'yesh ha'chafetz chaim, netzar, l'shoincha, meira. That concludes the first part of the Shiur.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.